Okay, dann schauen wir mal, ob uns die gute Dame verraten wird.
Renata wondered how much Hypatia had known about the book she protected. Enough to tell her son to protect it. Enough to tell Renato to protect her son. He'd let her down there.
Ich musste leider im Kampf pausieren, weil wieder jemand wegen einem unnötigen Brief hier einfach so reingekommen ist. Weshalb ich dann auch natürlich hier schön Backenfutter kassiert habe ein bisschen. Ich hoffe, das ist die letzte Störung für heute.
Okay, let's get this over with and we can all go home. Well, not you, just me. If Zenobia had really turned, the war could soon be over. She could send orders to the fleet that would leave their defenses wide open. The rebels could sail right in and capture the Emperor. Victory, with not too many casualties.
Ja, ja, schön wär's. Wollen wir unsere maximale Ausdauer nochmal erhöhen?
Cool.
Ja,
Wish
warum
I
nicht?
could do that.
Ah, ich glaube, das war das Falsche. Scheiße. Ja, ich kann zum Glück zurück. Da geht's lang. Ah, ich sehe die Ausrufezeichen viel zu
They
spät.
caught their breath under a ruined arch. It's beautiful, she said. This was the library of Ubar, he said. Your father's ravens thought they had an ancient book. She nodded. Was she crying? This was
Sie verdammt
exactly
danach
what I
aus.
wanted, Renata thought. To turn her to our cause. So, why do I feel something is terribly wrong? Because nothing ever goes this smoothly, is why.
Ich muss mich erst noch ein bisschen einspielen hier heute. Ich krieg aber echt keine Energie mehr aus den Dingern, ne?
Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
Mangelhaft? Wie war denn die Kombo bitte schön? Mangelhaft. Könnt mich mal. Also gut, Zenobia, verarsch mich jetzt nicht, bitte.
The council toads swarmed around Zenobia, shocked she was there, shocked she had changed sides. Then, the walls exploded. He heard toads croaking, "Oh, the ravens!" Blackbirds were pouring through holes everywhere. "It's a trap!" cried the council speaker. In the confusion, he saw flashes of magic. Then Zenobia being hustled off by Imperial troops.
Ah, Zenobia.
So, she had betrayed him after all.
Renato ran for his ship.
The Farfarer flew into the clouds, barely losing the Imperial ravens pursuing him. The rebellion was lost, and he had lost it. There was nothing to do but find Zenobia and make her pay for her treachery. His heart ached. He still loved her. But he had trusted her, and he had been a fool. She would be back at the fleet, gloating with her mad, bloodthirsty father. For all Renato knew, she was helping him bring back the old, lost gods back from their exile.
Ach, Zenobia, warum?
Renato landed in the middle of the Imperial fleet. The rebels were losing badly. Without leadership, it was a slaughter. Renato felt strangely free. Trying not to think about how he had lost the war. Trying not to think about how he had loved Zenobia. Blinded himself to her treachery.
That's what it meant to be a hero. To keep on fighting after the most bitter of betrayals. To never know if you could trust anyone. Cats. What a waste of fur.
Ooh, sparkly, thought Renato.
What had happened to Lupino? Had the Mad Rabbit fled to safety? Or was he forlornly carrying on like the few rebels Renato could see here or there? Ugh, it didn't matter anymore. All there was slash and spin, parry and lunge, over and over as he fought his way across the fleet. All there was finding the girl he'd once slugged, who had used his love against him and putting as big a hole in her heart as she'd left in his.
Rache! Zenobia, Rache! Ich bin so wütend über deinen Verrat, dass ich sogar Kämpfe vermasse. Und in Feuer laufe. Naja, beim anderen Ende wird sie mich wohl auch verraten.
And suddenly, Zenobia was there, advancing a Lapino. So the Mad Rabbit had survived. Save me, or I'm done for! Screamed Lapino. Zenobia turned, showing her teeth in a smile. You're alive! Renato ran towards the witch. Lapino's the one who betrayed you! She shouted. He warned my father! Before he could think, Renato sank his sword into the sorceress.
Oh.
She stared at him, heartbroken. No! Lapino's the traitor! Renato had an awful, sinking feeling in his stomach. Then, he felt a knife in his back. I'm afraid she's right, said the Mad Rabbit. Ain't I a stinker? Then, the sun went out. Damn it. He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up. Like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. And he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome.
Der endlose Moment, Geschichte Nummer 4. Ein Held, der nach dem bittersten Verrat weiterkämpft. So, das
The
heißt,
book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again.
wir machen
faster than
dasselbe
before,
nochmal,
And he
allerdings
fell. The
nehmen wir
clouds
diesmal den
parted
anderen
over
Weg
the
mit
Isles of
Zenobia, obwohl es
Boreas.
kaum anders enden
It
wird.
was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble.
Und ich kann hier
Ravens
immer
were
noch nicht
scouting for the
überspringen.
secret rebel base.
Deswegen
They
machen
needed
wir
a
an
game
dieser
changer.
Stelle
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced.
mal eine kurze Pause,
Renato
bis ich
knew
da
that
bin, wo ich
using
hin
it could
muss.
go catastrophic.
So, angekommen. Hatte er sie wirklich überzeugt oder spielte sie nur mit ihm? Sie zum geheimen Stützpunkt zu bringen, könnte zur Katastrophe führen. Er dürfte ihr den Standort des Stützpunkts nicht verraten, zumindest bis er von ihrer Aufrichtigkeit überzeugt war. Er musste sie in die Berge bringen.
Renato reached Lapino by Farspeaker Toad.
Ach nö, schon
No.
wieder.
We should take her to the base.
Insisted Lapino. No, I don't trust her. Nobody changes sides that fast, said Renato.
I better go to the base. Let them know you've got her.
Lapino said.
For some reason, Renato wasn't sure that was a good idea.
Just meet me at the far side of the mountains. There's a shuttle here I can take,
Always has to be your way, doesn't it?
said Lapino.
Ja. My way or the highway. Weißt du Bescheid?
Zenobia was still shaking as they got out. I didn't know, she said. The Ravens kept it secret. At first they sacrificed prisoners, then villages near the frontier, and then an orphanage. Kittens and puppies. Sometimes he'd come back to the palace and it was like there were glowing things behind his eyes. But I was so busy. I'll clear a path for us, Renato told Zenobia, so the Ravens don't see you.
Ha, trifft dich mit dem Verräter haben. Okay.
Zenobia came up as he massaged his sore arm. Her eyes were wet. He's been saying strange things. He asked me to do experiments. And some were wrong. They are banished, right? Said Renato. Gone forever. I mean, he couldn't actually bring the old gods back, could he? She didn't answer him. That frightened him more than anything.
Ei, 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 ei. Ach, er wird sich hier auch erschießen. Und dann werde ich auf einen Rachefeldzug gegen Lapino gehen wahrscheinlich. Das ist so mal das, was ich mir vorstelle.
I pick you!
War ich hier schon mal? Ich erinnere mich nicht. Es kommt mir alles unbekannt vor.
Renato hoped the other end of this portal wasn't suspended over the abyss.
Okay, es war nutzlos hierher zu kommen. Ah, woher hätte ich das denn wissen sollen? Manchmal gibt's ja. Ah, du Sack. Okay, da war ich schon.
Renato wondered if he should have taken Zenobia to the rebel base for real. Maybe she wasn't playing him after all. After the bleak talk about the Emperor's dark secrets, he was regretting his suspicion. They came up on an empty shack. He gestured her in. "Where's the base?" she asked, confused. "I thought we could talk a bit first."
Oh, you think I'm playing you? She was furious. I'm betraying my father who picked me out of an alley, and you think I'm playing you? She lashed out. Her claws sliced fire into his face. Energy boiled in her other paw. But before she could kill him, he slashed his sword into her heart.
Nein.
She staggered. I could have loved you. You son of a bitch. And then she died. Renato
Nein.
stood there for hours, unable to move. Finally, a ship landed near him. Lapino had brought the Farfarer. On board the Farfarer, Lapino couldn't stop grinning. I can't believe you actually killed her. Why didn't I trust her? Renato said. All he could feel was emptiness. You killed the Emperor's daughter. You might want to run for it, if you care whether you live or die, that is. Since Renato didn't, he grabbed the wheel, and he sailed for the Imperial fleet. Renato had never felt worse. Zenobia had listened to him. He had trusted him. She had opened her eyes to her father's evil. Done everything he had hoped for. And he had taken her to a dirty shack. Was he so used to lying that he couldn't trust even the girl he had always loved?
Naja.
Renato had a feeling that was the back door to something. But what?
Ich bin mir mal ziemlich sicher, bevor wir den Imperator töten können, tötet uns wieder der Hase. Eins, was sicher ist.
He could see the rebels reeling back as he plunged into the ranks of the Ravens. He'd had to kill the girl he loved, but he'd also blown the biggest opportunity they could have had, to turn the Emperor's daughter against him. Renato could only laugh miserably. He was taking crazy chances now, swinging wildly. He expected the Ravens to take him at any moment, but they were running in fear. No one wants to fight a man who doesn't care if he lives. No one wants to fight a hero.
Ah, wir sind auf einer Selbstmordmission sozusagen.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there?
Wahrscheinlich. Kein Level Up. Ich meine, es ist ja auch egal.
He was exhausted. Could barely think. He wanted to stop thinking. The rebels were already finished, and he was the last. The ravens were coming for him personally now, in waves. It didn't matter. He was slick with his own blood, but it didn't matter. In the distance, he could see her, embraced by a halo of light, holding her hand out to him. Had she forgiven him? Would she take him to the halls of the Valiant? Then he felt steel in his belly, and his chest, and his back. And he lay down, and he couldn't see her anymore.
Aww.
He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up, like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. And he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome.
Geschichte 11. Beinahe aufrichtig. Ein Held kämpft auch dann weiter, wenn es nichts gibt, für das es sich zu leben lohnt.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas.
Also diesmal nehmen
It
wir
was
den
time to
Hasenplan
choose.
und
The
führen sie
rebellion
leider
was in
zu den
trouble. Ravens were scouting for the
Verhörtypen.
secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced.
Ja, das erste Level ist eigentlich so
Renato
schnell,
knew
dass
that using it could go catastrophically
ich das noch
wrong.
nicht mal nochmal überspringen
But he
muss.
was sure he could figure out how to use it
Außerdem
safely.
gab es einen neuen Dialog
Also,
beim
a
letzten
temple
Mal.
had
als ich
risen out of
übersprungen habe.
empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient
Ja,
burial by his
ja,
obscene
Sky
rituals.
Ripper trifft
Could
sich
this
selbst.
be where the Iblis stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Renato. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
Bla bla bla.
Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens? Renato won. The Ravens had taken the town. Renato had seen villages emptied like this. All the people taken away to be sacrificed in the Emperor's secret rituals. Renato hoped the people were just hiding. The village looked so peaceful. Were the villagers hiding somewhere? Of course not. No matter how much he searched, he would only find ravens here.
Ich kann die nochmal steigern. Ich baue mal lieber Gegner für Schaden.
Lapino must be waiting at the end of the cemetery. Renato wanted badly to confront him for his treachery. But what good would that do him? Lapino would betray him. But now Renato knew that.
What would Lapino do if he knew that Lapino was going to betray him? Well, he'd concoct some crazy scheme, wouldn't he? That used Lapino's betrayal against him and it would blow up in his face. Maybe he was overthinking this. Well, that would be a first.
Also mit Lapino.
Dirty and
Komm mit, du
bloody,
Lappen.
Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the car.
We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who
Ja,
happened to
werden wir.
also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only
It's
daughter.
gonna be super easy. Barely an
That would
inconvenience.
be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him.
On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power. Zenobia wasn't just the...
The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty. Why was Lapino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap. But you never knew how Lapino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lapino wanted. There must be some way to play on that, Renato thought.
So, what's this plan of yours?
Use me as bait, said Lapino.
And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese,
Es hat ja nur 3
a net,
Minuten gedauert, um
setting
näher
the
zu kommen.
farfare a little bit on fire, Lapino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon.
What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato.
Oh, this is gonna be fun, said Lapino, as he ran to go set up his marvelous plan.
Also gut.
Renato felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. But against all odds, Lapino's idiotic plan worked. Zenobia's ravens ran off after the geese, the net dropped, and Renato jumped out of the watermelon and put his sword to Zenobia's throat.
Renato, she said, are those new scars? They look good on you. You never return my velvet jacket. It was my favorite. You look stupid in velvet. Ah, what does an imperial princess know about style?
Ah, get a room, you two, said Lupino, probably sensing the chemistry.
But the fleet was coming on fast, so they took Zenobia east, over the Nexus. She'd vanished from Swordfu School, from his life, without even saying goodbye. Without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter.
Bernardo was aware of her feelings. Maybe this was a bad idea, but was he letting his own feelings get the better of him?
Okay, das ist jetzt neu. Reynardo und Lapino hatten einen Plan. Sie wollten Zenobia zu den Feuerspezialisten der Rebellen schaffen und ihre Geheimnisse nutzen, um die Pläne der imperialen Flotte zu durchkreuzen. Aber er wusste, dass sie noch Gefühle für ihn hatte. Vielleicht sollte er das ausnutzen und sie hier und jetzt für sich gewinnen. Wer braucht schon einen Verhörspezialisten? Oder vielleicht sollte er das jetzt, da sie seine Gefangene war, nicht ausnutzen. Vielleicht sollte sie an ihren ursprünglichen Plan festhalten. Boah, das muss ich mir aber jetzt mal ordentlich überlegen, was ich da mache, denn da hat sich doch was in der Story geändert, dadurch, dass wir was Neues rausgefunden haben damals.